Right. Episode 5 on the Vinyl Collective podcast. Me again, Sadiq. With me today, my co-host, Jon.
Yep.
See, one thing about Jon, he won't really say it, but one thing about Jon, right? He's a bit of like a snob when it comes to music.
Okay.
So he might act like he likes all these new songs that the kids are listening to. But really...
How long have you been saving this up for?
Secretly, Jon's quite an old timer. He's one of those guys like, it was very old. He's a bit, you know what it is? Jon's a music boomer, really and truly. Yeah. So
I can't disagree with any of what you've just said.
So I have him in studio today. How are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah. I won't lie. I think all of what you just said is 100% true. Yeah. No, I feel like I get down with the new music these days.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the UK artists we talked about last week.
Okay.
You know,
Fair.
SL just released a new album.
Yeah, different dude.
Mixtape or whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good one, actually. Yeah.
Felt tips.
Okay.
No,
So, okay,
some good
a
stuff
few
there.
new guys. Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, no, I think you're right. More of like the 90s era. I think that like 94 to like 2000s, I think is like peak
Yeah.
music.
And ever since then, it just hasn't really hit that sweet spot, has it?
It hasn't.
No.
I feel like there was a period like late 2000s to like 2010, like the Kanye West era, right?
That was a good era for music, to be honest.
Um,
Speaking of music, so today's episodes, right? So I remember, right, when I was like younger, right? And one thing like me and Ham did all the time was watch wrestling. We loved wrestling. And then you get old and you realize, oh my God, that shit's not real? What? And
how old are you when you realized?
Too old. I think I was in secondary school. I swear to God. Like, I think I was like, maybe like 12 or 13. I was like, and then once you realize that you can't, once you see it, you can't unsee it, and then the whole experience is ruined for you. That's basically going to be this episode. we're gonna make wrestling not real for some of your favorite albums. So yeah, if you want to see your album get trashed, then stick around. It's gonna be a good one.
I feel like there's gonna be a lot of in people's minds classic albums that we rip apart.
Yeah.
And say half of these songs are skips. A third of these songs are trash.
And then that one thing we
tunes.
say, and then you're like, fuck that guy, he's not right. And then you're like, maybe something's what he said.
I think a few people last week that hurt when Daniel was like, yeah, he hasn't listened to Take Care until, what was it, last year?
Oh yeah, Daniel just said
I
that.
got a few messages. People were upset.
What did people say?
They were just like, what's he on about? Oh, no, he hasn't listened to Take Care.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Classic. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we'll get into that.
blame.
We'll
Yeah.
get into that. So
But yeah, this week
yeah.
we're talking about kind of what makes a classic album.
Before that, we have our art spotlight.
We did.
We had Neo.
We had Neo this week.
Great artist.
Yeah.
How?
UK, homegrown talent.
From our good old uni, Knots.
Exactly. Yeah. Because we were talking the other day, weren't we, that she had like done performances in Nottingham.
Yeah, that's how I was introduced to her, like in a backhanded way. So a friend that I knew at the time, she was going to a Nottingham concert for Nate. I was like, oh, I don't know who that is, whatever, cool. And then I think it was like a year or two after, then I heard For All We Know, and I was like, oh shit, it's actually pretty good. And obviously ever since then, I've been a huge Neo fan.
Do you know where she was performing? Just for any Nottingham people listening today.
I think she was at the Oceana. Yeah. It was
in my head, I can picture like Bodega.
I can't remember what the Bodega looks like.
It was near the Lace Market, right?
Yeah,
we get really local.
Yeah,
Lace Market, take the.
Oh, that two people
N4
get the
bus.
reference. Yeah. But yeah, no, Neo is like one thing the UK will never run out of is singers. Like, especially when it comes to like soulful singers, and I think Neo's just another one that adds to the, already. Like, think about it, you've got people like Sampha, James Blake, Leanne Havas, Neo. I mean, if you want LMA, like, got quite a lot of people. So I think, Neo, one thing about Neo, she's so unique in both, like, her voice. Like, obviously, genetically, I don't think many people sound like her.
Yeah.
And then as well as, like, the type of...
the beats.
Sounds that she goes for. Like, she's definitely one of those people, like, wants to she's kind of like Kendrick, wants to kind of start all over again when she has a new album and doesn't want to make the same album twice. You can definitely tell her.
Do you think she did? Because on Saturn, I feel like she did bring in some of those, like, I know in the description we put like a quote from her where she was talking about like wonky, or was it wonky funk or something?
Yeah.
I feel like she did bring in a few elements here and there.
I think she did that for the fans. So obviously, you have songs like Gabriel and Love Supreme, which are like very much like a throwback to that.
Yeah,
But I think the majority of the record is completely. It almost sounds like more modern day R&B than anything else. Whereas the last album, it wasn't the case. It was mainly electronic stuff. So I think you always want to do like an ode to your other stuff because you still want to keep the like fans for something. So, for example, like if you have all new shit and they don't like it, it's like fuck, why am I here then? Like they have like at least one song they go back to.
Yeah.
Boost streams,
especially when
like
you're
that.
not like of Kendrick's kind of.
Exactly.
I wouldn't say caliber, but I mean like kind of audience, right?
Yeah,
You don't have that number of fans that, you know, you're gonna
So Saturn. Actually, speaking of this, actually, I think to me, Saturn is the better record. Like, I feel like she's just been elevating since. So yeah, I can't wait to see what she comes out with next. Obviously, now she had the baby. So I'm basically calling it the baby record because she said, a record's coming this year. So actually, funny enough, do you know it's been 2 years exactly today that Saturn dropped?
Really?
Yeah.
How did you have a little reminder on her phone?
No,
why do you know this?
I say she tweeted it. So
Did
yeah, I was like, oh, what a coincidence.
Throwback.
It's also been 4 years since Saba's bucket list project to this day.
That was a hell of an album.
It was.
Yeah.
It was good album.
Just gonna remind everyone again that we went to his concert.
Oh yeah, good concert. There was a mosh pit at the Saba concert, and if you listen
That
to
was
Saba,
the last thing you'd expect to see.
that's the last thing you expect to see at a fucking Saba concert. But yeah, definitely worthwhile. And it's also been 6 years exactly since Anderson .Paak's Venice album. So yeah, 6 years since Venice, and he's kind of come a long way since then.
Did you listen to Venice after you listened to Malibu?
Yes, Malibu was my first introduction to Anderson.
What did you take away from listening to Venice? Because it is a wildly different soundscape.
Okay, I'll give it. Okay, so you know with SZA, right? She dropped Control, and obviously everyone's like, "Yeah, SZA, like she's so sick." And then you know when you do that thing when you like an artist and you go to the back catalog thinking, "Oh my god, there's so many lost gems," and you go there and you're like, "Fuck, this is not what I expected." That's what Venice is to me. Like, I think I went back thinking, "This guy's so sick. He's more than just like a singing Kendrick. Like he can do it all." And then you go to Venice and you're like, "It's okay."
Yeah.
Like it's just okay. Like. Yeah, and a lot of it, there's just like from what I remember, a lot of it's just like sounds. Like, so I know some songs there wasn't a lot of them vocals.
I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, it's quite weird. Like it's I'm not doing wrong. Obviously, you take a risk, and that's probably what made him take more risks on like Malibu and like Oxnard and stuff like that. But
he hasn't really missed since then.
He has not missed. Like he is, he is fucking sick.
You see, I think it's interesting as well that we're like coming at it from the other perspective of like the other side of the coin. Like we didn't listen to his old music, so we're like, I'm sure there are loads of like Venice stans out there who like,
probably,
it's amazing. Then like, he did Malibu, now he's all mainstream. I like to think that I'm usually that person, but I'm not this time. And now I'm like, it's kind of whack.
Do you know what it is? I guarantee everyone who says that is probably like the hipster who probably caught on to Anderson .Paak at that time, and that was their first introduction.
Yeah.
And they want to be like, again, it hasn't been good since then. So, but again, there's nothing wrong with liking things that are modern. I think he's been getting better and better in time, and his features as well. Like his features are so good every time. I've not ever heard a bad one, and I genuinely mean that. Like
and
ever.
Yeah.
Special artist, man. Special artist.
He is. But that kind of leads us on to today's main topic, which is classic album. What kind of makes a classic album? Like what kind of elements do you think go into kind of consideration when you're saying this album should be a classic? What do you look for?
First and foremost, the songs have to be fucking sick. It can't just be like, it's different. The songs have to slap. And I know that sounds really fucking obvious, but I think a lot of people, they hear stuff that's different. They think, it's a classic, or they hear stuff that's popular and that's a classic. No. Most of the songs, if not every single song, has to slap. That is like number one thing. If that doesn't happen, then why am I calling it a classic? Well, because of one hit single. I'm not doing that. Like, for example, let's say, for example, like Drake's Thank Me Later.
Yeah.
You know, it's got massive singles like Miss Me and stuff like that. But you put the album together, I'm not going to call it a classic because it had one or two good singles.
No, absolutely not.
So that's where I see it. So the songs have to absolutely slap.
Every single one.
Yeah. The second one, I think it has to define the genre. Like if you look at, okay,
Yeah.
what I mean by that is, if you're trying to introduce someone to like rock, for example, what's the album you want to go to?
Yeah.
Whatever album you think of, that's your classic. Or whatever album most people will think of, that's your classic. So, okay, let's say hip hop, right?
Yeah.
Most people will be like, oh, you want to start with hip hop, listen to Nas, listen to
Yeah.
Tribe Called Quest. That's why, because they have classic records. They have records where you can look and be like, this is where this type of shit started. And it kind of continued from there.
Yeah.
So I feel like if it defines a genre, that's definitely it could make up for not all the songs being sick. If it's like so genre defined, like 808s and Heartbreak, that was super genre defining.
Yeah.
But not all the songs slap. A lot of the songs slap, but not all of them slap. So it's like, is it a classic?
Yeah.
It's arguable. I think that's my second one. My third one, it stands the test of time. Like, it can't just be something, because things, as humans, we like things that are new and exciting.
Recency bias is one of the biggest problems with people.
Yeah, it is like.
They'll listen. This, I'll let you finish.
Yeah, no, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, yeah. So I think a lot of people, when they're like, I think I disagree with the concept of an instant classic. I don't like it. I've probably said it before, but now that I've kind of sat down the last few days and thought about it, as you said, it's replay value that defines a classic album. You can't listen to an album once and go, it's a classic. You have to let it mature. You have to go back to it, and 5-10 years later, it's still got to be a classic. It's still got to kind of have no skips or whatever, like you said. So yeah, instant classic.
I don't know. It's like people just want to be the first one to call it and be like, hey guys,
Yeah.
When this happened, I was the first one to say it was a classic, and you guys caught. Like, I can say, yeah, recession's happening tomorrow. That doesn't mean I'm gonna be right. And one day I'm gonna be right and be like, oh yeah, it's actually a recession. Doesn't mean like, yeah, see, I was the first one to know, and that's why I saved my coins. Like, no, like, come on, like, do you know what I mean? So I think people do that. Like, for example, fucking Trap Soul. People tried to tell me Trap Soul from Bryson Tiller was a classic. I was like, get out of my face. Like, what are we talking about? What? Because he made songs don't. And what was that one? When we talking about, say, I can't remember the other one, but yeah, I was like, really? This is the guy I want to give a classic? Because yeah, no, mate. And obviously, next album. Yeah, speaks for itself, doesn't it? Did not bank on that at all. So, yeah, I think people are way too quick to call it. I think standing test of time. Again, there's always exceptions to the rule. Even Good Kid, Mad City, as good as it is, and everyone call that a classic now, it still took, like when it first came out, people weren't on it the way they were 2-3 years later. It still took a bit of time for people to look back and be like, oh yeah, I still listen to Money Trees. That's actually a pretty good album. Like, I think people were mad against it at the start. So I think for me, most of the time, it has to, maybe 5 years at least before you're like, you know what, this is actually pretty sick. And I think the problem with this, I think this is the problem people get into. So let's say an artist drops a classic record. Well done, you did it, mate. You got a classic. If you got a classic record now, and then people want to call everything you drop following that a classic, because they can't separate the classic record from a classic artist. Yeah. And I think that's the problem a lot of people fall into. So, like, again, if Jay-Z drops something, people call it a classic because it's Jay-Z. Yeah. But that's not always going to be the case. He makes something that's really good, doesn't mean it's going to be a classic. So I think people will need to, like, differentiate the two. Yeah. I think those are my main. Yeah. And I think the last one I had was very similar to genre defining, but, like, game changing. Yeah, yeah. What I mean by that is, basically, if what I drop makes you make similar music, or people around me make similar music, I've changed the game, essentially. Yeah, yeah. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, you're all my sons now. So, yeah. So, that's why I feel like it will be needed. Like, it needs to change the way people make music at that time. Yeah. What about you?
I agree. Yeah, I think a lot of those we definitely overlap on, like replay value. You'll have an album, I don't know, it comes out 2010. You've got a lot of like 5-year artists who are there for a couple of years. They drop a couple of albums. I feel like this is pretentious, right? Say there's an analogy, right? I hate analogies, but
Go on.
Sandcastle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sandcastle is the classic album. We don't know it's a classic yet.
Yeah.
Tide comes in. That's like the new wave artists.
Oh yeah.
Tide goes out. Sandcastle's still there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fair.
No.
If you hate that, please do not. please do not message me and talk about that. But anyway, that's how I was thinking about it earlier.
Yeah.
I was like, because you have all those new albums that come in, and you kind of forget about the classic. Then 5 years later, you've forgotten about all the babies and all them. Like,
The little sons.
yeah. And then the classic is still there. Yeah, I'd say, I feel like it has to be like a lasting influence, as you said, like on the landscape, not just, I don't think even just in the genre. I think it has to be like music in general. Like you talk about Kanye West albums, you talk about them with anyone, I think not even hip hop fans, and they'll probably agree with you and be like, yeah, 808 or I don't know, Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is
good record,
a classic album. So I think it has to have an impact on kind of music in general from an era. And it doesn't. I think one thing that doesn't define a classic album is immediate impact as well. So I think a lot of people want to kind of immediately like it, and that's what we're saying with like replay value. It could grow on you in time. Like a lot of classic albums from the 90s didn't sell that well at the time.
Yeah, it's true.
And over time they grew. And then on the flip side of that, it doesn't have to sell. Like just because an album goes platinum,
yeah,
does
of
not
course,
mean it's a classic.
Yeah, I mean, of course you would have that one because I know there's a lot of underground records that you're a huge fan of that probably didn't sell as much. But I'm gonna count you there. I'm gonna count you there.
All right.
I think, especially at that time, a huge metric of if the album is good or not is the sales. For example, no one can tell me Thriller's not a classic. I mean, it's the most selling album of all time. That is going to be a huge argument as to why, because if people didn't like it, they wouldn't buy it. I think especially at those times, especially when you look historically, if the sales are that large, then it's kind of hard to argue that people didn't like the song or it wasn't such a big hit, because to go outside your house and buy a vinyl or buy a cassette, buy a CD, that means a lot. Do you know what I mean? Because it's not like you can just, it's not like there's no Spotify.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like you just have to buy another album. Like instead of you buying, I don't know, Stevie Wonder today, you bought Michael Jackson, and that means a lot. So I think just what buying means today is way less. So I get that argument for more modern day albums, but I think in the past, okay. I mean, also with the whole thing of like massive appeal, that's the thing. Like people really get over their heads about that, because like you even see now, like this is why I do not at all like listen to Twitter like opinions when it comes to album reviews, because
the same day people haven't even finished the album. Like the J. Cole album is a classic.
Like no, and people think like you know, like obviously we spoke episode 1 about like female rappers and all that, and I've got love for them, but I'm gonna hurt feelings. Like for example, when Cardi B is breaking all these records, right? Okay, it's good shit. Proud of her. You know, keep doing that shit. Doesn't mean your album is a classic. It could be just a really good album. I think people think it's like you're dissing that album if you don't call it a classic. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, exactly. Like for example, I wouldn't call Grey Area a classic. I think it's a really good album. I wouldn't call it a classic. And that's just, I think you have to see the difference where classics, like this is like a magnum opus of sorts. Like this is like kind of some sort of like moment in time to me, to be honest. Yeah. I
think it's because we have so much access to music. People just, same with like culture in general, people just want like instant gratification. So they're like, this, if you're not calling it a classic, it's like, why are you listening to it? Why? Like I can rate an album and it's not a classic.
Yeah.
But yeah, come to your point. You said obviously, like back in, I don't know, the 90s, the early 2000s, people are buying it. You're saying that means what? It is a classic, or because I mean you have like the.
I think it's a bigger argument for those
game
times.
Documentary, do you think that's a classic?
I don't really like the game that much. I'll be honest. He sold a lot of records. But I think that's at the time you can't say that it wasn't unanimous that this was one of the best artists at that time, because you don't go diamond, and if you go diamond before the streaming era, I have a hard time not calling an album a classic, even if I don't like it. You're gonna have to give me a really good argument as to why that album wasn't good. Same way with like 50 Cent's album or DMX's album. Even if you didn't like it, diamond is some crazy shit. Like not many artists hit diamond, so you'd have to give me a real good reason as to why the album was a classic.
Diamond then, but
like, and all the albums are diamond. Like,
But
when it comes to Diamond selling records, like,
Yeah, okay.
yeah,
Alright.
you can't really fuck with that, to be honest.
I mean, how many artists have there even been with Diamond? Like, I feel like Eminem's had a couple.
Yeah, Eminem's had a couple. Obviously, 50 Cent, The Game, Outkast,
Yeah, was that Speaker?
Stankonia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, was it Stankonia?
It was Speaker Box. It was
No,
Speaker Box. It
yeah.
was Speaker Box. Yeah.
What else?
I don't know.
Was there anything else?
I mean, streams don't count for shit these days,
Yeah.
mate.
No, they don't.
Yeah. I don't really know. But
Yeah, I think those are kind of my elements of a classic. Yeah, I don't know. Do you feel like it has to be unanimous? Like, if you have to argue with someone,
I think
say you're talking to like a conscious, like a knowledgeable music fan, and they're disagreeing with you, or you have to kind of labor on a point. Do you feel like at that point?
I think you have to get to a point where, for the most people you speak to, even if they don't like it, they can still see why others would like it. Because that's when it's like it's kind of just superseded, right? Like, for example, let's say there's a woman everyone thinks is super attractive, right? Like, for example, Zendaya. Everyone thinks Zendaya is super attractive. But you're like, don't really see it. But I can appreciate her beauty. That's kind of what you have to do with classic records. It's like, yeah.
Who said that?
I mean,
I will speak to them later.
I mean, yeah, it's just going to be like something like, there's going to be some, very similar analogy for women, right? Like, there's going to be some women you think, oh my God, this is like 10 out of 10. And obviously someone's going to be like, yeah, she's like a 7. Like, you know what I mean? It's good. Well, most people
Tope's getting well off topic here.
But yeah, I think I think it's very similar to classics. Like, you don't see it, but you can appreciate it. Yeah.
That's a good point. And I'd say lastly, I mean, it's a given, but like production has to be on point. Like,
ooh,
for
fair.
me,
Okay.
I feel like even if I know we've gone on probably the last few episodes about like, oh, the best current albums are the ones where like the producers and the like artists are sitting together and they make the album, just the two of them. But not even that. Like, I feel like the beats have to complement the artist and the lyrics.
Okay.
And I was in the albums I think that I would consider classics. I think that's generally the case.
Okay.
Do you not? Is that not something
not
you'd have
for,
in your criteria?
Not for me, actually. Like, I think, again, like I go off like that. It's kind of like what you, for example, you watch a film and you're like, wow, all these effects, and then you like it. It's like the eye test, right?
Yeah.
I go kind of like the ear. I call it like the ear test, right? So if I just hear it and I like it, I don't need anything else.
Yeah.
But then after a while, then I'm like, oh, I didn't notice this, but I already liked it beforehand. Do you know what I mean? So I think there's a lot of good albums with shit production, mate. There's a lot of good albums with minimal production, like plenty of Nas albums I can give you. You like Car, mate. I mean, how can you say that when you like Car? That don't make no sense. Explain that.
Have I called him a classic?
Fair.
No.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But yeah, I think if what, to me, it's basically like a recipe, and if I don't care what the fuck you put in it, like, you know, if it all comes together and it makes sense and it all kind of sounds nice, then I'm fine.
There we go. It's complementing.
Yeah. Fair. For example, like you know,
I'm not meaning you have to have like DJ Premier like creating every beat and it's just like
So no, I know that makes sense. To be fair, yeah, that makes sense. I'll somewhat agree with that.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So yeah, I guess I feel like the natural next thing is to ask you about some of your classics.
Okay, cool.
Like, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of pointless doing like a top 5 or like. No, I enjoy doing it personally. Like on my own when I kind of journal or whatever, I'll be like, oh, top 10 rappers of all time. But like, give us like, I don't know, 5 or 6.
Okay, cool. So I'll give you. No, I'll list them one by one, and then we'll see if you have anything to say. So
okay.
I think one I have would be Blue and Exile, Below the Heavens.
Okay.
I fucking love that album. Like, that album is so good. I think I found it a few years ago. Obviously, I didn't know it came out. So when I heard it, I was like, oh, this is like a new album. Like, you know, Spotify hits you with the little gems down and then. And I was like, man, like, that especially because I was 22 at the time, and also he's talking from the perspective of someone who's 22 and going through like adolescence and everything at the time. Obviously the Exile is the DJ and Blue's the MC at the time. So I was like, fuck. Like, I think it was especially when it comes to classic records as well. But I feel like it has to, again, I think we spoke about on like episode 2 or something like that, where it has to hit you at the right time. And I think this hit me at the perfect time, and everything he was saying was like just resonating so well with me. And yeah, the production's obviously on point. The rapping is amazing. The I think all the songs make sense and they fit, and it's just perfect record. So that's one of mine. I think I won't be a surprise to many people. Earl Sweatshirt, I don't like shit. I don't go outside because I listened to that record, and hey, guess what? Don't feel like going outside after that. So I think it does its job there, man. Like, I think when we speak about like the 2015 era, everyone always says, "Oh, To Pimp a Butterfly." Yeah, it's a good record, but I think people are starting to look back and be like, there were other albums that could be put in that conversation. It's not just like it was To Pimp a Butterfly and then there was everything else. Like there was definitely some other albums at the time where you could be like, yeah, this is really fucking sick. So I'll give you that one as well. I have Freddie Gibbs' Pinata. I think
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Again, good record. And again, this one aspect, one like element I was gonna put in is like a theme in that record. I don't think you need a good theme. I think a theme helps. It's easy to make a classic record with a theme because everyone loves a good fucking storyline.
Yeah.
But you can kind of supersede that by just having good fucking songs. That's why I put that as number one. If your songs are sick, it doesn't really matter. And for me, Pinata. Like I think a lot of people are catching on to Freddie Gibbs right now. So especially more than they did in 2014 when this album dropped. So
I feel like Alfredo brought people, and I don't know why that would, and Bandana the previous year wouldn't, because more people listen to Madlib than The Alchemist, though. Would you not say?
I think Madlib is more low key, to be fair.
Even than Alchemist?
Yeah, because being like Alchemist, he's worked with like big time artists, whereas Madlib has always worked with underground artists. Always. Yeah. Like apart from the highest one is probably Kanye that he's worked with.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't really doesn't
he
really
gave
work
him a beat for
Normal Parties in LA?
Yeah.
Fucking sick. I love that song. Yeah. So I think that's why more people probably would have heard of Alchemist, to be fair. Okay. He's worked with kind of both underground and mainstream rappers. So but yeah, Pinata, like I think a lot of people are definitely doing their homework with Freddie Gibbs, and the album's it's just good. Like it's just good. Like I don't need that. Yeah, just not like I think
zero skips.
Yeah, zero skips.
I mean,
did you know a lot of them were old Kanye throwaways? Like he was meant to make an album. Mad was meant to make an album with Kanye, and then he basically was on it. So basically, a lot of the beats were B-sides from that, and he just gave it to Freddie Gibbs to rap over.
Really?
Yeah, and with Bandana, they actually worked together on the beats.
I listened to the that interview, like it was in a record store or something.
Yeah,
you must have seen it.
Yeah,
in that one, he said something about he is like work. I feel like he lies. I feel like Madlib lies a lot. But I feel like he said something about having an album that he's working on with Pusha T.
I believe it.
Do you?
I believe it.
I believe he's got a lot of albums with a lot of people. I just don't think he's ever going to release them.
Same. I mean, it's not just as simple as pushing a button. There's music in it. There's always a lot of contracts to go through.
Because apparently him and, well, I'll mention it later because it's one of my classics. Keep going.
Yeah.
Number 3 or 4?
Okay, cool. So I've got a couple more. Kareem Bailey Ray, self-titled album, Kareem Bailey Ray. It doesn't always have to be nitty gritty, balls to balls hip hop. I think this album is it's just a fun listen. Like Sunday afternoon, you can slap this on. Not a single song I'd skip, to be honest. Like, given the album came out 2006, so 14 years ago. Yeah. I think just that time there wasn't a lot of black artists I saw on the TV who were making songs outside of Channel U, episode 4. I think when I went back to the album, I was like, this album is just amazing. Like
British classic from
2006. British classic from 2006. Don't think there's any songs you could really skip. Yeah, just really fun listen. And I think some of the topics she was touching on were quite thoughtful. Like when she's talking about she always speaks about like relationships and like dealing with people. It was quite interesting. So I think if I think everyone's listened to put your records on, but if you are a fan of that song, I would advise you to listen to the rest of the album. I'll give you one more. I mean, you
can keep going if you want. You don't need to cut off at 5.
No, I'll give you one more. So I'll give you. It'll be more modern. FK Twigs LP1, and I say this because I say it's a classic because I do think you can clearly see in other artists the influence of FK Twigs. So, for example, like even Neo, like her song Curiosity on Saturn, I think there's a lot of artists where you can clearly see the influence of FK Twigs' like next world production on her records. Yeah. So I think she kind of is what they call it, the queen of like neo R&B. Like she really is, and I think that record is like there's nothing that sounds like it. I don't think there will be anything that sounds like that. So again, it's genre defining. It kind of changed the game, and the songs fucking slap. Like I think it does take a lot to kind of get through the. It's like going through a jungle.
It's not the most accessible.
Yeah, like you've got to kind of cut the grass down, and then it's like, oh, there's actually like a nice little rabbit jumping around, and there's grow some crops there. But yeah, you do have to kind of like adjust your ears to like, oh, what the fuck is this? Like, do you know what I mean? So yeah, but yeah, that's a solid record. Okay. But yeah, what about you? What's your five?
Right, let me have a look at the list here. Okay, I would say one of my classics is, I mean, I feel like there's no, if anyone argues with me on this, I will be furious. Mad Villainy. I
mean, like, shock horror, right?
Yeah. MF Doom, Mad Lib, like, yeah, 2004. Hold on. It was the thing with that album. It was like, I was reading up on it again today, but like, it was, what was I trying to say? Yeah, it was like, kind of, wasn't it released online like a year earlier, and they kind of completely changed Doom's like sound on it. Yeah. So he was supposed to be a lot more like up tempo, enthusiastic sounding, and then they got some feedback from like the leak. So who knows if it was a leak? But anyway, they got feedback from the leak, and then like 12 months later, they released it again. Kind of critics were like, "Oh, the changes were amazing." Yeah. Like,
I mean, of course, John likes that. Of course, you're a man of your word, aren't you? You like the little details.
I do.
Yeah.
I mean, because especially the thing with MF Doom, sorry, is like the the phrase is like free associative lyrics. So it's like where he just speaks. There's not necessarily like a theme there. Yeah. And I feel like that doesn't discount you as a rapper just because there isn't like a particular narrative you're carrying through, because like his kind of like word game, like his skill speaks for itself. Like the double entendres, the like multi-syllabic like rhyme schemes. Oh, I could talk for days about doing. But yeah, no, definitely Mad Villainy. Funny as hell as well.
Yeah, hilarious artist.
One of the funniest rappers, I'd say.
Yeah, when he's like, what was it? Give me all the lick like two broads, something like that. I was like, that is hilarious. Yeah, like he's hilarious.
Borderline schizo. Can't find tits though.
So I won't disagree with that one.
Yeah. Anyway, another one I would say, Miseducation of Lauryn Hill.
Oh, go on. No? Yeah, no, it's just a typical, isn't it? The bog standard, isn't it? It's the bog standard. No, I agree. No, it is a classic. Do you know what it is? I just don't like Lauryn Hill, innit? So my fear jumps out. Yeah.
About that.
I think the whole show thing is pretty trash, to be honest. Yeah. Especially someone who's like a legacy artist. Like, if you've been like an artist for what, decades at this point?
Yeah.
Then it's like, you can't really be fucking up with your fan base by just like being hours late or not, just not coming. Like, what's going on? Like, yeah. On top of that, did you see that Robert Glasper video like a few years ago when he's like, the best album you didn't even do? Did you see that?
I did not.
Yeah, so he's just like, he's in the shout and being like, look, I don't know why you have such a high horse, mate. The best record you have, you didn't even make it. Like, we made it. Like, we helped you out. And to be honest, I'm inclined to agree, because that live album, I mean,
what was it called again?
I think it's just live, isn't it? It's just a live album.
It wasn't like MTV.
Yeah, it's like Unplugged. Yeah, the Unplugged one. Whoo, that should have been literally Unplugged.
That was like, what, 20 years ago? That's like 2001.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
I had a friend try to tell me, no, it's actually quite sick. I was like, okay, well, why don't you play it all the time then? Because you know it's shit. Like, it's shit. Like, no, yeah, I do not like that record. I think it's very clear that a lot of the artistic direction on Miseducation probably wasn't from her. If like 2 years later or 4 years, 4 years later, like you literally shit the bed. So that's just my opinion on that one. But I cannot deny
some harsh criticism there.
Cannot deny that Miseducation is a classic record. It is like it's a phenomenal album. So yeah, I agree with that one.
Another one, Black Messiah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Not one of my favorites, but
one of yours.
Okay. We'll get into that.
Yeah, I feel like it came, so you had Voodoo 2000 and then he 15 years out of the game.
Yeah. I mean,
I can't account for what happened in a lot of those years, but like he came back with Black Messiah, which I think is a classic.
I mean, yeah, you want to have your own opinion then on the Final Collective? Why not?
Absolutely.
Can't co-host you right now, can I? It's
And
too
you would?
late. What? I
You
mean,
would?
who knows?
Oh, okay. I mean, there are so many I feel like we'd both say, again, just classics. I'm not going to give them much time, but like Midnight Marauders. Question for you, out of the Jay-Z's, which would you say? I mean, he released what, like 7 or 8 albums before like 2005 or something.
Yeah, he released an album every year.
Yeah.
Yeah, before 2005, he wasn't rapping. He retired, so it was up to
For like
2003.
then, yeah.
I say Blueprint. That's my favorite one.
Released on 9/11.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good record. So yeah, Blueprint for me.
Yeah.
The Black Album.
Reasonable Doubt.
I'll put Reasonable Doubt there, but I think people are forcing it a little bit. I think it's because the first one, people call it a classic. Don't get me wrong. I think because it's very unique to the rest of his catalog because his rhyming scheme is like super different. Like it's really clever. Like he's the most clever on that record.
Yeah.
But if I look at the track list on Black Album, I'm going to that way more. Like again, all the songs.
That's the thing I think about Blueprint.
Yeah.
That my favorite songs, I think him at his best is on some songs in Reasonable Doubt.
Yeah.
But there are other better albums. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, you look at Blueprint and you look at Black Album, it's like every single song. And then once you've done that, you've kind of you passed the first test. Whereas like Reasonable Doubt, was it genre defining? No. Did it change the game? No. Most people didn't care about it. When it came out, it was like halfway a dud because it came out the same day as Methods Man's T-Cow.
Yeah.
And it came out, I think it was 2 parts, All Eyes on Me.
Yeah.
So can't really win with that one. So I'm not saying it was bad, but it's not like people were going crazy over it back then. I think it's like you kind of look back and you're like, oh, maybe it wasn't so bad. Like you know, like you leave a shit relationship. Oh, maybe it wasn't so bad. But no,
I think out of those, I would have said Blueprint. Like my favorite song is again from Reasonable Doubt, but like Blueprint, I think is the classic album.
Yeah, but I think Blueprint is the one people look at and be like, because it's literally the Blueprint, right? I think again, I think what helped him as well, he was at the peak of his popularity at the time. So I think he had literally the whole, like everyone was trying to be like Jay-Z. And then he drops the Blueprint. And again, one thing I think actually, which makes you a classic artist, this is not a classic album, especially when it comes to hip hop, you need to be involved in a rap beef. For me personally, you need to fight. Like you can't be the strongest guy in school and no one beats you up. There's a lot of guys who got away with that in school actually because they were just bigger than everyone else. Everyone just assumed they were strong. I mean, they go into a fight and you're like, damn, I thought this guy was strong. Why did he get beaten up? Like it's happened. I feel like a lot of rappers, they talk about, oh, you don't want no smoke with me, and then it happens. What happens? Do you know what I mean? So I think if you've kind of proved your worth, again, 2 of the best artists, rappers probably in the world at the time, and going head to head, and they both kind of came out of that. I think that immediately for me kind of puts you as like a really good artist for me if you can kind of maintain your worth in that one. Whereas again, we've seen good artists crumble with that. You know, Drake, Meek Mill. Like Meek Mill's not shit, but especially someone who's a fucking battle rapper. It still doesn't make no sense to me. He's a battle rapper, and then he couldn't battle. So it just kind of shows you like when the lights are on you, when the pressure's really time, like. Can you perform? So
Pusha T can.
Yeah, Pusha T can definitely perform. So I mean that's why people. I think a lot of people would call him a classic artist. Do you know what I mean? So I think if you can kind of go to battle,
you can back it up.
You can back up. That definitely puts you in. And I think obviously Blueprint again, not to go too far. You go to Blueprint, right? Yeah, it has Takeover, track number 2, straight into it, no nonsense, and. Even despite that, it's not like you're just looking at, it's just Takeover. It's like the rest of the album still kind of works with it as well. So, yeah, that's my favorite J one.
Yeah,
for sure.
I feel like we mentioned them earlier, Outkast. I was gonna go Aquemini.
Ooh, I do like Aquemini.
Out of the what 5 studio albums they have? Yeah, they have 5, right?
Yeah.
I think Aquemini for me is probably their strongest. Like, I think it came at a time when like Southern hip hop was like
at its lowest. The stocks market was low for that. Yeah.
And then I think it came at an important time. Like such like detailed like storytelling, like narrative on it. I think they're kind of out of like the big like classic albums. They're definitely like some of the. I find them really interesting because they like avoid a lot of the like gratuitous violence and like misogyny you see in a lot of like rap. I think that's one thing that sets them apart and why I find them quite interesting. Also, I mean, they're just like one of the most iconic duos.
Probably the most
Yeah,
iconic
yeah.
duo to ever do it, to be honest. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, you obviously got Q-Tip and Fife, but I
Yeah,
would actually
yeah.
put, I would put Andre and Big Boy above them. Like, you know what's so funny about that record as well? You know when that skit was like when the guy goes into the store to buy a record, he's like, you got that goodie bar? And he's like, no, we got that alcohol store. I was like, what? Nah, there was some weird shit. Like, I don't want that. Like, it was so true. It's like they were so self-aware as well. But I was gonna put that on my list as well. But I don't think. Again, I feel like you gotta be honest. Like, you know, a lot of people are like, they call it classic because everyone else does. I'm not gonna do that shit. So it's like, I think it's really good, but for me, I'm not. I don't hold it super dear to my heart. But I do know, like, no, I do fucking like that record. Like, I think it's fucking sick. So yeah,
I think for me it is. Yeah, I guess like one of the most important things for me in like an album I have to enjoy is like the narrative, like the storytelling. Is it something that maybe I can't personally relate to it, but like I can understand it. I can like put myself in.
Yeah, like
in those stories.
Yeah.
No, like the art of storytelling, or like one.
Yeah,
of those,
it's true.
like,
Yeah.
It's the story of like, I don't know, like love, like passing of time.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I can't relate to like the drug addiction and stuff like that, but it hits hard stories.
No, I agree.
They hit hard stories. Yeah.
No,
so
100%.
as well. Yeah, and do you feel like with some of your examples that you gave us at the beginning, do you feel like they stand up to the kind of criteria that we've had at the beginning? Do you feel like there are no skips?
Yes, actually.
This is where it gets difficult.
Yeah, no, it is.
I think going to crumble now.
I think the ones I've put, I think they don't have skips. To be honest, I don't think L's album has any skips. I don't think Freddie Gibbs one.
Not long enough.
Huh? Yeah, no, Freddie Gibbs one. That's like an hour long. I don't think it has. To be honest, no, that might have one or two, but.
Pinata, which one?
I don't like Lakers too much. Absol's alright, but again, it's not like I might skip that now and again.
Right.
But I feel like even Aquemini has one skip. I can't remember the name of it, but I think you have like a leeway of like, depending on how long the track listing is, like one or two. Like, you know what, this ain't it. But if the rest of the record is amazing, then it makes up for it. Like, you can have like maybe one or two steps. I had that as one of my criteria actually. Like, very little to no filler. Very little to no filler. I think obviously you have a 10-track record, you're very on no filler, mate. You can't have any. But if you have like a 14, 15-track record, and you have like one, you know what? Fair enough.
Yeah,
I'll give you that. Still classic.
That was something I meant to mention at the beginning. But like, I feel like Biggie is maybe one of the kind of like exceptions to the rule of like most of the like, you know, archetypal classic records do not go above 15 tracks.
Yeah.
Whereas you have Biggie with like 18 or 19.
Yeah.
Or like double-sided. Like,
I mean, same with Kanye West. Kanye West's albums are super long. Late Registration, super long. Yeah. And so is College Dropout. Like, I always say this rule, like, most long albums aren't that good, but the ones that are good usually end up being classics. Because if someone can keep your attention, especially if it's mainly them.
For like 70 minutes.
Yeah, then
like
they're pretty fucking good then. Like, I mean, To Pimp a Butterfly is like, what, 74 minutes? Like, it's a long record. So if someone can keep your attention for that long and you're not bored or you're not feeling like listening to someone else, then there has to be something to that record, to be fair.
Lil Nextar's new album.
Miles.
Being
It
like,
goes
what,
on 4 miles.
minutes?
Yeah, it literally goes on for an hour and a half. But yeah, I think we're definitely going to be speaking about that at the end of the year because, again, I usually do not like long albums. I'm definitely more of a...
I struggled first time with that, I'm not gonna lie.
But for me, again, the songs slap. So it's like, how can I not? Like, I enjoy... Like, I can give me an hour and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm an hour in. Like, can't believe it. Like, yeah, I think that record is just pretty amazing, to be honest. So yeah, I think there's always exceptions. Like, again, if most people cannot make good albums for that long, like, yeah, most people don't have that in their wheelhouse, to be honest, to make like 15 bangers. You just make 2 albums then. Like, you know what I mean? Like, most people who will drop like... No one who drops 20-track albums is fully believing that all their tracks slap. Not in 2020. It's not happening.
Yeah, no.
Like, come on. People know, like...
You're saying that because Edna was 20 tracks. Edna was 20 tracks.
Not actually, no. Like, you think about, like, Culture 2. You think about Chris Brown's... You think Chris Brown does, you know...
Please do not.
do you think he looks through, like, these 40... No, he doesn't. He probably just records it and just says, fuck it, put it out there, mate.
Yeah.
Same with Future. That's why sometimes Future it's like he's gambling with his own records. Like he'll put a random sample out, and then sometimes it might be sick, and sometimes it might be shit. But fuck it, the check is coming anyways. So
it's literally like throwing at the wall and just hoping some of it sticks. I'm gonna throw 50 tracks at you on like what was his last album called? I feel like they get longer and longer.
He has so many albums, like so many albums. So I don't really keep track. Yeah, and you know what's funny? Fucking him and Chris Brown made a record, didn't it? No, what did him know was Young Thug and Chris Brown like that. But too many records.
If you're just for people listening, if you're a Chris Brown stan and you respect 50 track albums, then please do let us know why. Yeah.
Definitely not reading that out on there, mate. No, not doing. I don't want to hear about that. There's gonna be some next Chris Brown style who's been a fan since like they were 13. I'm not trying to listen to that. No, absolutely not. But
tell me. I feel like you were kind of edging towards it with Miseducation, but like, what would you say some like well appreciated like classics that you're not on board with?
Or like classics I don't find to be classics. Yeah. Cool. You know what? I'm just gonna jump straight into the pit with this one. So
it's gonna be something controversial.
You know what's funny? I actually have D'Angelo Black Messiah as an album. I do not find a classic. Yeah, there are some good songs, but I can't lie, it bores me.
Tell me.
Because when I heard it was like first time in 15 years. It was everyone was going crazy, and I remember I was in my uni room. I was like, okay, cool. Like I've heard a lot about D'Angelo. I've always wanted to listen to Voodoo. Let me get onto it now. I was like, okay. I don't know what thing. What is it? I can't even explain it. That shit he does with his voice. I'm not a fan. What thing? That when he kind of like it just makes it sound like he's behind a machine or something. It's really weird. He did the same shit on Rhapsody's album. Where it's like I don't get that. It's not for me.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. And it's really long. And I just tune out. I've tried. It's just not for me.
Love it.
People love it. I just don't. Yeah. Sorry.
You said you did listen to Voodoo.
I listened to a bit of it, but again, I don't think D'Angelo's for me, to be honest.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm gonna come with a 1-2 punch, mate. Yeah. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt a lot of feelings. But Frank Ocean, Channel Orange.
Just a moment of silence.
It's just so many shaked heads in the room. Okay.
The mood dropped in the
Frank.
studio.
I know there's a lot of Frank Ocean fans out there. And
Are you blonde over Channel Orange?
I am 0 over 0, mate. I don't care. I don't care. Look, honestly, when Frank Ocean was on not Channel Orange, Nostalgia Orange, Nostalgia Ultra, I loved that shit like a lot. I was like, I am super fan. I even listened to that bloody 60-track mixtape.
Don't tell me you were like SoundCloud days, whatever.
The Lonnie Brute, that Lonnie Brute mixtape. I listened to that shit. Like I was on the hype train.
Yeah, so you liked him before anyone liked him.
Yeah, I was one of those guys. Yeah, I was literally one of those guys. But so I listen to Channel Orange now. I'm like, okay, like it's okay. That's me. Like for me, I think it's because I like Frank. I've really tried that record. I have really tried, but it's just okay. It's just okay. I'm sorry. That's just how I feel about it. So yeah, I've done I've put my cards on the table. Yeah. What about you? No. Hit me with it.
With a couple. Let me think. Okay. I mean, I feel like it's going to upset some people. I don't know if it's going to upset you. Watch the Throne.
No, I had it on my list.
Yeah?
I have that on my list.
Yeah, do you actually?
Yeah, I actually have that on my list.
What, you don't like it?
I don't like it as much as I did when it came out. Was it like 10 years ago? Yeah. When I was like literally 15, yeah.
I'm very, very glad you said that. Yeah, Watch the Throne. It's not for me.
Yeah. What was it for you when it came out?
When kind of like Otis and a few of those songs kind of dropped. I was like, this is amazing. Like, wow, two of the GOATs, like.
Yeah, literally, yeah.
And then as it's aged, I've kind of looked at it more and been like
milk,
why?
Isn't it?
Yeah. Why did they do this? I don't see the point. I don't see what the motivation was behind it, unless it was literally just for that, like the self-indulgent, like let's create like a bit of an opulent album.
I don't know,
and just like carries over his like experimental production, which was good. Like
a lot of beats were good.
There was a lot of good production on there.
But I feel like it's again like. There's certain songs, and this is gonna go.
There's some skips on there.
It's gonna go into my next not classic, but there's certain songs where it's like you've heard once someone points out a flaw to you. You cannot. It's done. Like the song's done, and that was Otis.
The Frank Ocean song, and that was
I like that one.
Did you?
Yeah, it was
Oh, I didn't like
Otis
that.
when it's like you realize it's just the same loop throughout the whole fucking song. You're like, this is so annoying. Like, it's so annoying. And then similar to like the next album that I'm gonna throw out there, 2014 Forest Hills Drive. Don't consider that to be a classic, but the song Wet Dreams. Everyone loves that song, isn't it? So nostalgic, so cute, isn't it? Like, oh yeah,
15.
yeah. But you listen to it once, and that's it. You can't go back to that song again and be like, oh, like, because obviously the whole thing hinges on like this massive climb of like, oh, you know what, she's a virgin too, whatever.
Yeah.
And you go back and you're like, that was pretty fucking cringe, wasn't it? Like, that is a bit cringe, mate. Like, I would not want me out there talking about my first time, and then it's like, no, I'm not performing that, mate. Sorry. No, sorry, get out my face. But
You
yeah,
think J. Cole does have a classic then?
not in terms of albums, no. Like, Friday Night Lights, that has a classic
mate.
mixtape, but in terms of classic albums, I don't think he's hit that mark as of yet. Obviously, still an artist, but
Because I think when 2014 came out, people thought that was it.
again, it's just putting at that nostalgia strings, like, because obviously it's a very relatable story. Like, you had a dream, you know, you kind of went through the trials and tribulations, you made it, and you realized, you know what? The thing that really matters is love and the people I care about. Okay, mate. Like, you might as well just make it a movie. You might as well make a movie, whatever. It's a good album, don't get me wrong. I do like that album.
It's a very good album.
It's a very good album, but classic, no, not for me.
Okay.
Let me throw another one out there. I'll put Skepta, Konnichiwa.
We talked about this last week.
Yeah, see, I know that for you might be like, okay, cool, I don't fucking like that one anyways. But I think a lot of people do look at that in terms of like British culture and be like, oh, like, oh, it's a really sick album. That's when things start to change. But for me, nah, like, it's good. Again, it's one of those ones where I'll put it as a good album, but I would not put it as a classic. I think it's a similar case with J Hus Common Sense. So we did the poll like a week ago, right? Yeah. What were your thoughts on that? Like, Common Sense won out by like 50, like 56,
So it started off.
44%.
It started off kind of like chill, like 10, 15 people voting in the first like evening,
Yeah.
and like Big Conspiracy was whooping Common Sense.
Yeah, it was
And
being
then,
us off.
and then we woke up the next morning and like looked. I was like, "Wow, there's been like 70, 80 votes,
Yeah.
and like Common Sense is now taken over." It won. What was it, like 58-42 or something?
Yeah, 56-44, I think.
56-44.
Yeah,
which
it's
is
crazy.
significant.
Yeah, like,
A lot of people very upset and shocked that we were saying Big Conspiracy.
do you know what it is? You know what? It's like what was that film where the guy went asked for more porridge? It's like, no, can I have some more? What was it?
Oliver.
Twist.
He's like, please, sir.
Yeah.
Have some more.
So obviously, let's say my whole life, right? I've been fed fucking oats and shit, and then someone gives me a McDonald's burger.
Are you trying to do a better analogy than my sandcastle one?
Maybe we'll see how it goes. So like, you know, you've had oats all your life, right?
Yeah.
Some no honey in it, no sugar, it's just fucking oats and water, right? And then someone gives you a Big Mac, right? And a Big Mac is pretty shit, but it's better than oats. So you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is the best we've ever had. I think that was the UK scene when Common Sense dropped. It was like, oh my God, we have like a competent album. Not even the best, but we have something competent, thank God. And I think the people went too far and said, it's a classic. So yeah, I would put that as a classic either. But good record. Anyways, that's it for me. Go on.
Wow. Yeah. I don't really have any others down here. I mean, I think I just had a comment here to slag off the game a little bit. But there we go. I mean, a great rapper. Like, a lot of great hits. But, I mean, I think we talked the other day about, was it Big Sean and his corny lines?
Yeah,
like,
man.
The games with him on that. Like,
Damn, you think so?
Yeah.
Damn.
Absolutely.
Okay, fair enough. I don't know. I mean, maybe more recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
okay,
I feel like Documentary had a lot of skips on it, though.
Okay.
It was a long album.
I mean, so was 2
It's
and
not
2.5. Yeah.
Do not. Yeah, I think he had every single musician in LA feature on that album.
Like, for example, it's like basically saying like, let's like,
everyone from like The Chronic back who
Yeah.
doesn't rap anymore.
It's like saying, oh, I threw a good party, but then all the people we invited were famous. So it's like, of course it's gonna be a good party because you know everyone's putting in guests. But yeah.
But there we go. Yeah, I think that wraps up our kind of classic segment of the episode today. But yeah, if you listening today, you know, you kind of got some classic albums that you think we didn't mention today, or that we mentioned and didn't like, then definitely let us know on Instagram, Twitter.
Or even send an email if you're that passionate. Send an
Send us
email
some
at vinylcollectivepod@gmail.com.
Yeah, we're on Twitter at TVCpod
Yeah.
and on Instagram at Vinyl Collective Pod as well. And yeah, next one kind of leads on to kind of Spotify. We have like a number of playlists on there. If you go onto our Instagram or our Twitter, you'll see a link tree kind of link there, and that will take you, and it will take you to like our Apple Music and our Spotify. And if you go onto Spotify, then we have a number of playlists, one of which is called Now and Then. Take it away, Tope.
Cool. So yes, every week we add to the playlist. We add a song that's around right now and a throwback. You know, that's John's bag. So you can tell who made the now and who made the then with this playlist. But you know, I'll leave it to the viewers. Anyways, so a now song. So I've meant to put this on for a long time. But I feel like I kept hearing new songs that I liked more. But Rest of Your Life by Chloe and Halle. I really like that song. Like, I proper like that song. It's a weird ending to their new album, Ungodly Hour. But, yeah, proper good song. Doesn't even sound like it comes from two good singers to us. It's just, it's just a fun song. So I'll add that one.
Okay.
A Ven song. Oof, what am I going to go with? It's funny, I was listening to Kanye recently because of the fucking Joe Rogan interview, but we're not going to get into that. Fucking train wreck. Yeah, but I'm going to go... Ooh, what am I gonna go with? Okay, I'm gonna go Verses from the Abstract from A Tribe Called Quest. Good song. I'll go with that one.
Can't disagree with that.
Yeah. Hit me with it, John.
Yeah. Okay. Old song, I think, just because I mentioned the Kwemai today. I'm going to go Art of Storytelling 1.
Okay. Oh, yeah. 1.
Yeah.
Not 2.
Not 2.
Damn.
1.
Okay. Right off.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And then new song is Good Morning by Black Thought.
Okay.
His new album,
oh, yeah.
which is at was it Pusha T, Swiss Beats, Killer Mike.
Yeah.
Guys on that track. Yeah, haven't listened to the whole album yet. Have you?
No.
No, I've just heard that song, which is, it's pretty good.
No.
Pretty good. I mean,
They came out quite
Black
recently,
Thought
isn't it? Like,
rap.
really recently, isn't it?
Sorry?
Came out quite recently, didn't it?
Yeah, I think it was maybe even end of September.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with Black Thought, always like, someone was on to have to sit down. When you sit down, have some time, and
you appreciate
you get into
sit down
it.
with a little whiskey and a cigar.
Yeah, exactly. He's one of those guys. Like,
voice.
oh yeah. Sometimes I do wonder if I enjoy that type of music because, like, if I have to sit down to listen to music, do I really enjoy it? I do play with. I do rest without thought sometimes, but he is Digimon's artist. Like, because he puts so much emphasis into what he says, I do feel like I have to give that same respect. So yeah, I will get around to that soon.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks for tuning in today, everyone. And we'll be back again next Thursday with a new episode.
Cool. We out.